founders wanted or what we would like to have as our democracy today.
Thank you. Ms. Brosnahan.
My position on the Queen Commission is that it's attempting to fix a problem that's basically fix a problem that's not there. We've had a very...
No. Okay, there's confusion. I want the tape to play. I want somebody from the studio to come out and see me. That's what eyes mean. Okay, we haven't got our signals down yet.
As well. And I, at this point, don't believe the Queen Commission addresses it sufficiently to modify the state's constitution as proposed.
Thank you. Mr. Henlow.
Thank you. As I said in my opening remarks, this has been in the Minnesota Constitution since we joined the Union in 1858. That's 152 years. That's a long time, and it shouldn't be changed lightly. I completely disagree with the Queen Commission. The Declaration of Independence says governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed, and that you have a right to vote on who the judges are.
Thank you. Mr. Hanson.
Thank you for the question. If you read the Queen Commission bases its conclusion on the assumption that electing judges has the danger of being influenced by money and politics. However, its conclusion that we go to a retention election in no way removes money or politics from judicial elections. It just means now there's one person on the ballot, and that's anti-democratic, and therefore it's just plain wrong.
Thank you. Mr. Stebbins.
I agree with what Mr. Hanson said. I don't think the Queen Commission fully addresses what they intended to as far as the political or the politicization of the judicial election process. But what no one has pointed out so far is that the majority of the judges sitting on the bench today were appointed by the governor. They weren't elected by the people. Judges sit for a term, and unless their term opens up, or their seat opens up during an election year, they're appointed by the governor. That's the way it works. The Constitution is an offshoot of that.
Thank you. Ms. McEnroe.
I haven't read the commission report in detail, so I don't feel informed enough to comment on it one way or the other, but I would agree with the comments of Mr. Stebbins that the current process results in both appointment and occasionally election of judges by the people. I personally have been through both processes, being screened by the commission and now being involved in an election, and I do believe that the increased expenditures, et cetera, and the politicization of the judiciary is bad.
Thank you. Ms. Holly.
I don't believe that the Queen Commission is intending to take the voter out of the process of choosing their judges, but I do think it recommends changing the role that the voter has. I think that pitting 2 or 24 people against each other and asking the voters to pick the best candidate is probably not the best way to get educated decisions out of our voters. And what we really need is to figure out how to do voter education about what makes a good judge and give the voters information about the candidate that they are reviewing so that they can make a good informed decision about that.
Thank you. Mr. Stagoff.
I couldn't disagree more. What we're talking about here is taking away a constitutional right. That right belongs to you. And here's another example of the government wanting to take yet another right away. Haven't you had enough of that? It's another example of the government saying, we know better. I don't know about the rest of you, but from my particular point of view, they're not doing that great a job. I think it'd be better off if they didn't know it all and listen to the people who still have common sense. Thank you.
Ms. Arndt.
I completely disagree with the Queen Commission. I do not see the elected, or the voters, the voting public, as the peasantry that needs to have the king's court determine who their judges are going to be. especially when we see this election, we had 24 candidates. Ramsey County got an open seat, they had 9 candidates. Up in the 6th, they had 6 candidates. People are interested in running for judges and obtaining your vote.
Thank you very much. Mr. Martin?
Yeah, I agree. If I've learned anything this summer, it's that people care about who hold these positions and that they have good questions of people that are running for these positions. And I think that's an indicator that and other things is an indicator that these largely should be elected positions. I think Ms. Brosnah's right. The commission is attempting to fix something that's not necessarily broken. So I agree. I support the election of judges.
Thank you. And Ms. McPherson?
Thank you. I also support the election of judges. And what I would indicate is I would echo some of Ms. Hawley's comments. I think what we should focus on, rather than creating a new system of election of judges, is focus on how do we make the system that we have work and work well. As I've been going around talking with people, people are very frustrated that they can't get good information about judicial candidates. And I think we need to address that frustration rather than seeking a new system.
Thank you very much. We're now going to take a very short break for questions. I wish to introduce you. Oh.
You heard it there, and I was impressed with a number of the candidates who just out and out said we need to educate the voters, and we shouldn't take away the right of the people to vote. It is our constitutional right now. When it's taken away, why would you ever give up a constitutional right to vote? By doing that, you place the decisions in the hand of a few people. They become, because of human nature, become arrogant and corrupt. And since there's very, very little accountability in the judiciary, you're hurting yourself. It's actually self-abuse is what's happening when you don't educate yourself and let the elite decide what's best for you. And that's not the way our country was founded. And there's one person there who, was very adamant. I forget his name. It was Robert Steigoff, or Steigoff. I don't know how to pronounce his last name there. But he was very adamant he was against the Cui Commission. And because you don't want to give up your constitutional rights. And then in my opinion, when you give up a constitutional right, usually it's at the price of blood and bloodshed in order to get that right back, because the people in power then control people, and they're not going to give that up easily because they want it that bad. They've tasted it. But this Robert Steigoff was one of the guys I talked to afterwards that said there's that unwritten rule. You can't run against an incumbent. It would be hurtful to your clients, and you need to represent your clients if you're going to be before that judge. Now, of course, one answer is to make sure that judge is recused or put it in the rules that judge can't. You get to go before a different judge. Automatically that judge has to remove themselves if you ran against them. That'd be an easy one. But here's, again, the courts in a roundabout way through political pressure telling these lawyers you can't run against an incumbent, because of peer pressure. That's taking away a constitutional right also. And in my opinion, Robert Steigoff, you need to stand up for that too. And you need to break down that barrier. If you want to be adamant about not losing this right, stand up for the one that's been taken away from you from running against an incumbent because of peer pressure. Anyway, my words of wisdom on that one. Greg Wurzel ended up at this forum, at this debate, which was actually a debate. Not so much, I mean, it was both a forum and a debate. The League of Women Voters now, they don't have debates anymore. They're just forums. And you don't really get down to the nitty-gritty and get the questions coming back and forth. And it's just a mamby-pamby, softball, they're almost meaningless. forums anymore. I want to see some debates in our state reps and these other things to find out where a person's at, you know. Pressure them, challenge them, see what their character's about. Let's get some real stuff going on instead of this pseudo forum debates. Okay, but Greg Worcel was there. He had a statement to make, and I think it was very good what he had to say, so I want you to hear it. So we're going to play that now.
Because I'm sure you want to hear from the candidates and not from me, I'm going to try to make my comments short. First of all, I think it's wonderful that we've got, I counted 14 lawyers here running for this position. I know that actually 24 are filed. I want you to also understand, however, that we've still got a lot of work to do because there are many judges running unopposed in this same judicial district. I think, are any of the incumbents opposed? One? Okay. And that tells us that there's still something very wrong with judicial elections. I just want to give you a short history. In the year 2002, I won the case in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. That established the right of judicial candidates to state their views on legal and political issues. If you can't talk about the law, my gosh, what's the purpose? What would you ever talk about when you ran for this office? I have no idea. I don't know how you would ever justify that rule or how that rule would ever make sense to anyone. In 2005, I won another case in front of the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, which struck down additional rules which prohibited judicial candidates from attending and speaking at political party gatherings, seeking political party endorsement, identifying themselves as a member of a political party, and personally soliciting campaign funds. At that point in time, we thought we had established a working election system in Minnesota because candidates could raise money, state their views, get a party endorsement, and actually run for these offices. That was a little presumptuous because you have to understand the hostility of the judiciary towards free and open elections. And they created yet one more rule, which was that judicial candidates could personally solicit campaign funds, but only if there were 20 or more people in the audience. Now, before they adopted this rule, which is an absurd rule again, I attended a hearing before the Minnesota Supreme Court and told them that this rule was going to be unconstitutional. It didn't really matter to them. I want you to understand how absurd the rule is. If I wanted to ask my spouse for money, it meant I was going to have to bring 19 more people into my home. Now you laugh, and so did the court when it finally got in front of a federal court. So absurd was the rule that after we started the litigation, the Minnesota Supreme Court must have been told by somebody, hey, there's no way we can justify this rule. They actually changed the part of the Code of Judicial Conduct so that candidates could ask their spouse, but you still couldn't ask other people unless you had 20 or more people. So you see, even they, again, they like to apply blanket laws. Now, the thing we need to attack yet, and I've started a separate lawsuit again this year, is that word incumbent. That word incumbent absolutely creates an unfair advantage for the incumbent judge. It shouldn't be on the ballot. It's not found in any other part of the ballot except the judicial elections. And the Minnesota Supreme Court had its opportunity to correct this just 2 years ago. 2 years ago, this issue was in front of the Minnesota Supreme Court. They could have done the right thing and gotten that word off the ballot, but they did not. So this year we started another federal lawsuit. I was just in front of the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, I think it was 10 days ago, for a special hearing in St. Paul, and we're asking them to remove that word incumbent from the ballot. Ladies and gentlemen, we are this close to having real elections for judges in this state. I am overwhelmed that you are here and that we are taping this so that it can be shown to other citizens. It's all, what is critical is that the voter get the information they need so that they can make an intelligent choice when they go to vote. And to make that intelligent choice, the candidates have to be able to state their views on legal issues. The candidates are going to have to be able to raise money so that they can get a message out to the public. These things are obvious. They're obvious to you, they're obvious to me, they're not obvious, however, to your state Supreme Court. So, I want you to remember that because some of them are also up for election. And I'm